Hey, folks, this is Lonzo, the Godfather of West Coast Hip Hop, with my partner in crime, East Coast version, on the line. What's up, Doc? Yeah, messed it up already. There you go. Yeah. As I said it. All right, folks. Yes, sir. I just got the call from the hospital. I'm officially a grandpa 6 times over. Yes, my grandson, my oldest son, Joshua, and his wife, Nicole, just touched down. Congratulations, folks. Everybody got all their fingers and toes. Everything looked good. Uh, no incubation. Everything is everybody healthy. I'm glad to hear that. Joshua Lee Keels, a.k.a. Deuce. That's his name. Deuce. So, Deuce. See, that's my grandkids only. Okay, that's grandkids only. All right. Yeah, man. 6+ grandkids, baby. 6+. 6+. Go for it. I guess the first one is amazing for you. All of them are amazing, Doc. All of them are amazing. Let's say that right there. But the first one probably shocks you the most because you realize your family tree gets a new branch. You know, every one of them gives a new branch to their family tree. But that first one, especially when you think I was about 40 something when I had my first one. Yeah, 45. And it was like, but I just had a kid. My son was born about 5 months earlier. So I kind of got used to it. But that grand thing is just a little bit different, man. Just a little bit different. Just a little bit different. Yeah, it's a little bit different. A little bit different. Guess who just popped in, man? Miss B, the Divine Connected.
Hello, hello.
Yes, give us the rest of your face, girl.
Let me see.
Give us some more face.
Okay.
Give us some more face. Give us some more. You only got half a face, baby.
That's good.
Oh, they can't hear. Hold on, they said they can't hear Dre. Hold on. Somebody, let me see what's happening here. Make sure we got everybody in the proper connection.
Connected.
All right, we connected now.
There he is.
Gary Garage.
Oh, Queen. Hey, Queen, how are you?
I'm good. It's
We-
hot
we-
here. Tell them to fix the
Yes.
air conditioning in the south.
Well, we're congratulating Granzo, that would be Alonzo, on becoming a grandparent for the 6th time. So it's congratulations.
6+. I got some other grandkids too. That I just got.
Yeah, he's six time grand.
I might have 8 of them. You know, 8, something like that. I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, the way you're working on it, man, you're doing expansion.
I tell you what, I ain't having no more kids. If a baby, somebody says she pregnant by Lonzo, shit, y'all better get ready. He just came back. Hey, Lonzo, the baby. Yeah, right. That baby ain't 40-something years old. It ain't gonna happen. Anyway, folks, with the Legendary Connects, Miss B is in the house with a half a face.
Let me go to the question first. How was Monday in Sacramento with you in that in your big meeting, big accomplishment, big application, big you name it? I know we can't match the grand, but how did that work out last Monday for you?
You know what, man? When I put that thing together, I made the phone call to try and get it done in the first place. I got to say, my partner and the state senator of here in California, Steve Bradford, was very receptive to it, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to do something, especially for the triple OGs of West Coast hip hop. Okay, triple OGs of West Coast hip hop don't get the shine that the no offense that the East Coast fellas get. Okay, we don't get the same shine. All right, all our shine is covered by the umbrella of Dre and Cube and Snoop and other folks. I'm not mad about that because that's just how things go. But when it comes to celebrating this 5-0, my man was he was very receptive to it. We flew up there. Me and King T and his wife were on the same plane, and man, it was a gas. You know, you heard about the Capitol.
Yes.
You heard about the Capitol building. You heard about what the Black Panthers did on the Capitol back in the day. They walked up there, Ronald Reagan and his folks with the shotguns and rifles. That was the first thing I thought about. And I hit the stage. Damn, these are the same steps that the Black Panthers rolled up on the Ronald Reagan and his folks on, made them change the gun laws. Now we here today on some hip hop shit. Damn near, eh, technically, it could be 50 years later. I don't know what that was.
Almost 50 years later.
Okay.
Reagan was the president. I voted for Shirley Chisholm.
Okay. And man, it was interesting to be on the floor of the assembly. We actually got to hang down at the assembly, go up to the gallery in the state senate, and then come back down to the assembly, which had been dismissed, and they gave us full reign of the assembly floor, the podium, everything. So I got pictures of me standing behind the podium, like I'm running shit. So we all did that. That was just one of the things we did. And man, it's just an amazing thing, man, to see all the state senators and the assembly people just acknowledge hip hop, and as more so the folks here on the West Coast who paved the way for so many other folks.
Yes. You got people. I said this all. We have the discussion consistently. Where I always go back and say, there's Egyptian Lover, there was the LA Dream Team, World Class Wrecking Crew. I mean, I can go back on the side of what happened as hip hop emerged on the West Coast side. There were many different other artists that need to be acknowledged because they were there doing it, whether it was to the extent of what happened on the East Coast. I think the celebration of the 50th anniversary of hip hop was acknowledging Kool Herc playing records at his sister's parties in the summertime. And I'll call it playing records, not DJing the way you would think today, but it's been acknowledged. He wouldn't have two turntables, a mixer, and a mic like that. That's not the way it happened. We're celebrating the fact that those beginning, I'll call them block parties or park jams, whatever you want to else call them, was the seeding of the thing we want to call hip hop, because they just gave a proclamation to Cowboy from the Furious Five with Grandmaster Flash and the one and only Love Bug Starsky. Rest in peace, both of them, or rest in power, both of them, who actually created the phrase hip hop. And that was proclaimed by one of my friends, Al Bazario, and the Hip Hop Boulevard crew in Harlem 2 weeks ago. So there's a lot of tinges, fringes, and pieces that we need to start grabbing together and bringing everybody under the same fold. And that's what I said last week. You and I got to sit down and figure out how we're going to unite these efforts so that there's same recognition for folks, whether you did it on the West, the South, the East, the North, because it all is hip hop culture. Rap was the music. I really say that so that people can become more inclusive and less exclusive, regional. That's I just think that keeps things, boiling where we don't need to. We need to say, no, this is what happened, and here's when it happened. This is what so-and-so was doing then. Here's the songs that were put out, whether you got them or not. But I forgot the person we had on the air one time, Lonzo, I forgot his name, and he's in Atlanta. He used to talk about how he heard you because he was from Oakland. I think DJ was it Baby something. I forget the gentleman's name. But we need to enrich that history. and support those efforts, support that life, support hip hop culture, and support rap music. It's enough said. You got it, Granzo.
You're absolutely correct, Dre. Um, you know, it's hard for us.
Wait a minute. Did you say I was correct?
I said you was correct. Now you can be quiet now.
Let me go get some more of this tea. Hold on. Go ahead. I'm just messing with you.
It's here's the trip part. Okay, we're willing to accept the fact that 73, whatever Kool Herc did in 73 at 1520 Sedgwick is the 15th anniversary of hip hop, the birth of the culture. Okay,
Yes.
so that being said, the culture may not have been affected till 77, 78 on the West Coast. That's the difference. That's a little bit of it. That's what you're saying, but it's like Dre got a birthday, Lonzo got a birthday. How when we were introduced to it was a little bit later because here on the West Coast, it's real. It was real hard. Me and Kelvin Anderson from VIP Records talked about this in the airport, and we're like, man, he was like, Lonzo, are you sure it's the 50th? I said, Kelvin, that's the story they're going with. That's when I got to roll with. And he says, man, because in '73 we was doing this. We hadn't thought about that. Okay, we hadn't even gone through disco in '73. We hadn't got to disco yet. So, and disco was huge in California for a brief moment. And it's real hard to, like I said, what one person does is what one person does, what one coast does, what one coast does. And I think it's our celebration for the 50s may be more like from 77, 78.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm thinking. And for the 50th anniversary of West Coast hip hop, we may be looking at a different time. And I don't think it's not including anything, excluding anyone. And I don't feel anybody excluded. We celebrated the 50th anniversary of the culture, okay? Which means the oldest person here on the West Coast celebrating that culture was Disco Daddy. Disco Daddy is about 70-something. In fact, I'm going to call Disco Daddy right now. Hold on. I'm going to bring him into the call. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I got you on the phone. I can't do you like I
you can't call Disco Daddy. I'm on the phone.
Right. Well, I can merge the call.
But you know what? Like I said, remember we had this conversation? I always go the earmark of the date after Saturday Night Fever, which was 1977, because it was the blackout. And the funny thing is, it was just on the radio the other day. They were talking about the blackout of 1977 in New York. And that's where everybody got their equipment from. Because the whole city was blacked out because of the heat.
Okay.
And when after that blackout was revived and all the lights came back on, magically DJs had turntables, a mixer, speakers. I mean, very few people were building their own. The only ones I know that used to build their own sound systems were the sound system, the dancehall and reggae DJs, because they built with those huge speakers. That's how come I always had that vibe of bass music, because they always had them huge giant speakers, amps that were crazy. But most people got that stuff during the blackout. Then it kind of evolved. And when you start going over who recorded on vinyl first, who pressed it, were there offshoots? Absolutely. Do I give big shouts out to DJ Hollywood? Absolutely. DJ Grand Wizard Theodore? Yes. Do I give credit to Grand Mixer DST, Grandmaster Flash, and those crews of people that were starting to emerge? Yes, because the equipment became available. It wasn't before. It was, like I said, my cousin had 12 turntables rolling, but he would DJ with switches on the wall. So it was DJing, but it was a different style. And they weren't even yelling hip hop, because soul music and James Brown and Parliament Funkadelic and Earth, Wind and Fire, Commodores and Jackson 5, that was the music of the day. And we're talking about when like you said, when disco came around, all that stuff. That's why I go to that date using Saturday Night Fever, because that was kind of the first time you heard a DJ on the mic in a movie playing records. And he wasn't the best DJ in the world, DJ Monty. I happened to just see the movie the other day. But he was playing Disco Inferno. He was playing the Bee Gees. He was playing all type of records that we were playing as early DJs. It just was.
Right. And for myself, 1976, I became Disco Lonzo. So I went hip hop, Grandmaster Lines, Godfather. 1976 is when the birth of Disco Lonzo showed up, and in doing that, I had to roll that for at least 2 years. I got to Eve After Dark, and I got to Eve in '79. So, you know, we had 2 turntables only because we knew we had to have them at that time because I was radio taught. And when I saw a picture of his alleged system, looked like it had 2 1200s on them. I'm like, that 1200s didn't come out to like the mid '80s.
Yeah, but and it was 1800s before the 1200s showed
1800s,
up.
right.
And
So
most turntables had that stem in the middle that you have to put the record in, and you have to push it down to get to it, and you have to spin it faster to get the arm to get loose so you can move it back and forth for the record. That the automatic or direct, it was first of all, it was belt-driven turntables
right
in the beginning before you even got to direct drives.
right.
And direct drives weren't even out like that, like you said, to the early 80s. That it just did, the equipment didn't exist in that fashion. And if it did, it was so expensive. You couldn't say, hey, let me get one of them 1800s for $3,000. What? One. It just didn't work that way. Did I ever tell you my first DJ name?
I'm quite sure you will. What was it?
What
was it?
My first DJ name, one of my first DJ names, because everybody used their last name, so it was DJ Brown. But I hated that because, everybody was DJ Brown. Ask him again, he's nothing but a clown. Nah, threw that out the window. The Phantom Force.
Phantom Force.
Don't ask me why, but it was the Phantom Force. And it was before Star Wars, but used to rock that. Like, so that was that name.
Okay. Was that weed pretty good back then?
I wasn't even doing weed then.
You should have been. You should have said yeah. That way you can have an excuse for that name.
Phantom.
No, you know why? Okay, the reason I used Phantom Force is because what was the name of the movie? Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
I used to like that movie because it made me scared when he took his mask off. So I said I was going to DJ with the mask on and say I was a force. So the Phantom Force was cool.
A little bit with a mask. Like Doom.
Yeah, you can say that. But the movie, we were growing up, we had Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Mummy, Creature from the Black Lagoon. I almost was DJ from the Black Lagoon, but I said there's nothing cool about being from the Black Lagoon. You can't make that cool.
You can't make that cool.
You cannot make that. But Phantom Force, Phantom of the Opera, you can make that cool.
Yeah, you're going to be stretching your ass out to get that would be cool. That's a stretch. Phantom Force.
I even had a T-shirt where I had the mask on the T-shirt and had Phantom and Force under it. It was cool.
DJ
and that lasted about 2 weeks.
DJ Yeller probably had one of the corniest names for West Coast. DJ. He's called himself the Master Rocker. The fuck is a Master Rocker? Okay, then it was Brick Hard. Dude, come on, man. That's the best you can do is Brick Hard.
It was called, go back in and work on your name. Go back in and fix it.
Master Rocker, Brick Hard. Then we an unknown came with the Yellow. And that shit stuck.
I thought Phantom Force would work because I made a T-shirt because we had a black T-shirt with the white letterings on, and you couldn't tell me anything. And I forgot where the guy got the mask from, because it was one of those silk screen, not a silk screen, but the ones where you put it, you iron it on,
right,
and it sticks to your shirt. Remember that?
Right.
But then when you put it on, it stuck to your skin.
Transfer.
Yeah, it's transfer. So when you pulled it off, you smelled like that.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to wash it because you wanted to make sure that the logo or the thing looked good, and the letters were real good. At last 2 weeks, it was done.
Okay.
It was back to a name. Go back to DJ Brown or something like that. That ain't working. Phantom Force ain't.
Yeah. So yeah, well, as you can see, my man, it's kind of debatable, man. Again, we're gonna support it no matter what, but it's still, for West Coast, I think it's a little bit different. We have a different origin. We definitely have a different introduction to the game. And I was talking about this in Sacramento. Most people don't realize that all not most, all the artists of the West Coast had to become entrepreneurs in order to be a rapper back in the day. You had to be an entrepreneur. Nobody was giving us record deals. First, only person got a record deal initially was Toddy T. When you had Drop Battle Ram, he got a record deal through Eve Jam Records. But everybody else that was rapping about anything else, LA Dream Team, Egyptian Lover, Wrecking Crew, Bobby Jimmy and the Critters, Unknown DJ, all of us, we had to become entrepreneurs, which means we had to make records from the first metronome all the way to shipping them to radio stations. And we talked about this the other day on another podcast I did, and I was telling him, I said, man, back in the day, you had to have a few bucks to have a record company. You just couldn't go to the studio.
Well, East Coast had the same thing. There were no record labels at the time. There was independent people that would press records up. You have to know how to get to a pressing plant and get lucky and give them a certain amount of money to press up your own vinyl. Because the first Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5 stuff was on a thing called Bozo Miko Records.
Who?
Bozo, B-O-Z-O, Miko, M-E-K-O. Bozo Miko.
That is not a good name for a company.
What?
That's not a good name for a company. Bozo Miko.
It wasn't supposed to be. It was supposed to. Okay, now you know about this from working with vinyl. Remember when people would press up certain vinyl and then it wouldn't sell, and they would take those old vinyls and melt them back down and repress them?
Yeah.
That's what Bozo Miko and all those white labels, there was all different names for that. Like the original Apache with the Incredible Bongo Band was on a bunch of those kind of labels, but it was still like Bozo Miko. There was all these different offshooting labels that people used to put their do wrong. But the first vinyl pressing of a rap record was on Spring Records with the Rifkin, with good old Daddy Rifkin and the Fatback Band called King Tim III, Personality Job. That technically was the first rap record from a label.
What year was that?
By the Fatback Band. Huh?
What year was that? That was like 70-something, wasn't it?
That was in 70. I'm going to guess, because it was before Sugar Hill in 79. So it's got to be 78, or may have been earlier in that year, because it was a summer thing. And it was only on 45 at first, and we all went crazy. When that broke down, boom, boom, doom, doom, boom, boom, to the beat, everybody, to the beat, everybody. We're allowed to go when they want you to know who you've been listening to. We were like, what? What? Oh, we couldn't stop playing that record. Do it to me, and I'll do it to you. Do, do, do. You guys didn't play Fatback Band?
Dre. You did go over your name changes, but when did you become Dr. Dre? Since we got Lonzo here, when did you become Dr. Dre?
Are you really going to when I was Doctor? I was always Dr. Dre since 7th grade in junior high for basketball, because I used to be a New York Nets ball boy. So I took my name from Julius Dr. J. Irving, who you grew up in Roosevelt, Long Island, to be one of the most dynamic basketball players in the ABA and in the NBA. So I took my name from, I was just a basketball thing. It was sports. But for music, it came from sports. It was DRE at the time.
Now, you know, if you ask West Coast Dre, he's going to say the exact same thing.
His name, he played basketball?
No, he said this the way he got his name from, Dr. J.
Oh, he got it from Dr. J too? I didn't know that.
He said the exact same thing. When he heard Dr. J, basketball, he was a basketball fan, blah, 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 loved the record, loved it, and just became Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
Okay. Was he a ball boy?
Dr. Dre was such a dynamic player.
Y'all talking over each other.
Wow.
Yeah, he was that guy.
Okay.
But I mean, I was close because
a lot of kids were like, what did they do when they found out about each other? Dr. Dre and Dr. Dre, how did they do that? But kids don't understand these days.
I always say I knew about him when he was in the World Class Wrecking Crew. I knew about him because of surgery and Turn Out the Lights. I always knew. I got those records. I had an Egyptian Lover record. I had the LA Dream Teams. I had all those. I was collecting records since 74, 74, 75. And when I got to college and I started getting, and matter of fact, I think what Lonzo was saying, being at Malaco, I think I'm the one that reached out to Malaco to get records sent to the station. Most people didn't know.
Malaco.
Because I was like always reaching out for whatever records we could get from anywhere.
You know what? Just so you know, there's always been a confusion. There is a Malaco, but we were at Macola. It's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Malaco's down here.
Malaco's down there with
well, I may have just mispronounced. I know the one you're speaking of, Alonzo. That's the one I know of. I just misspoke the name.
Not a problem. Not a problem. What else going on, Miss B?
What else is going on? Let's see. The brat had her baby. Life comes in, and unfortunately, Magoo, Timberland's protege, passed away too, right, Mr. Magoo?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
I heard about that too.
Kind of sudden. So.
How did he pass?
Mm-hmm. I did not see yet how he passed. His still hasn't been put out yet.
A lot of folks.
And see, that was brushed over. Like nobody really talked about it. That no one said anything. Oh, Magoo passed away.
Barely.
Most people don't know unless you say Timberland and Magoo. Most people don't know the difference.
So what?
Most people didn't know the difference unless you said Timberland and Magoo.
That's true.
Because when Timberland first came out, his name was Timberland. Then he adjusted it to Timberland. Because I remember that first record, Timberland and Magoo. And it wasn't like Magoo, the cartoon. It was like Macgoo. It was a different spelling than the cartoon.
I got Magoo. What's the Magoo cartoon spelling?
I don't recall at this time, but the cartoon came first.
Yeah, of course.
You've done it again.
Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
He was a half blind dude. That his voice was done by the same guy that played Thurston Howell
III.
Yeah, Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, same guy.
Mr. Howell was Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, Mr. Howell.
A lot of shows.
Had a lot of shows. That was my whole childhood of cartoons, man.
Yes, sir.
Captain Caveman.
My brother loved Mr. Magoo.
What?
I said Scooby-Doo, was that Hanna-Barbera too?
Yeah.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo's.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's a lot.
And Scooby-Doo, what is it? Shaggy is voiced by Casey Kasem.
Right.
The late great Casey Kasem.
Yes, sir. All right,
and
folks.
They did the Globetrotters too, but other stuff in Georgia too. I got Georgia has news too.
What you got?
Georgia has a rule where you can revealing the identity of grand jurors. So right now that's the problem because of the indictment for Trump right now, and those names, addresses, and phone numbers of those jurors are being published because it's a law. It's Georgia law.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
It is.
No, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to reveal anyone's name. Someone in the not the grand, whatever they call their administration, released it, and the judge went crazy, and the prosecutor went crazy. Now the feds and Georgia is cracking down. If it was something leaked online, they're saying, "Oh, we just leaked the names," and they leaked fake addresses, but no one knows the difference. So the interesting thing with this, it's part of my political thing, is even the judge for the federal case for January 6th has now extra security and came down on former President Donald Trump, now 4-time indicted former president, that he's got to chill out because he's trying to, like I said, he keeps going back and forth, instigating a fight. And people are like, don't let that happen because this is going to get out of control real fast. It really is. Temperaments are getting high. Like someone called, someone from Texas, some woman threatened the judge from DC, and threatened her family.
Yeah, I heard
like
that.
Trump is doing on his social media page.
Somebody got arrested for that, right?
Yeah, she got arrested. You can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
You can't.
You can't do that.
And these folks are so stupid. They act like they're going to do it, and no one can track you down. They can track you down once you go on social media.
I mean, what's crazy is people are going to jail for threatening their baby mamas. People are going to jail for threatening their baby mamas and cousins and shit, and you want to threaten a judge over some federal shit like you gonna go home and stay home. It ain't gonna happen.
You're just gonna disappear in the woodwork.
You can't do that.
It's not gonna happen.
Okay, dudes is going to jail for threatening their baby. I'm gonna whoop your ass. Okay, that's a terrorist threat. You finna go sit down for a little while, Junior. So but again, that goes to show you how ignorant people are that roll on certain type of political parties to think that you can actually put a threat out to somebody and ain't nobody gonna do that. That don't make no sense.
Yeah, I think it's Georgia law though, Dre, that they reveal the names in Georgia. It's an old law. Obviously.
No, they don't. No, that it's the opposite of that. You're not supposed to reveal grand jury. See, there's a jury law, and then there's a grand jury law. You can be revealed after the indictments are secure. I believe it is. It's something. I know what you're saying, but I just don't know what the law exactly. They can step forward and say, "Yeah, I'm a grand juror," and they can announce it, but you can't. The legislatures or how the grand jury and who's on it, they can't reveal it. But the people on the grand jury can say, "Yes, I was on it," because when they first were talking about they were going to indict former President Trump, one of the grand jury person, they were the one that said, "Oh, there's going to be about, 10 of, there's a lot of folks that's going to be indicted on this thing," because they already knew, because they already voted on it. It had already been. All Fannie, what's her name, did from Georgia, is she just pushed and got it done.
I found out the other day that one of my cousins is one of the people being indicted.
Being indicted for?
Well, Trump.
What?
Yeah, one of my cousins.
I
said my.
Are you
cousin,
talking about what?
Huh? I found
Lonzo,
out.
are you talking about the woman who is it Usher, or who's the?
It's a brother.
No, this is a woman who went to those two women's, not two women's, but the woman's house who was on doing the electioneering, and that Rudy Giuliani accused of swapping out the what do you call those things that you put in the computer, and he just made it up a lie. She went to their house talking about, "You need to go down to the police station because they're looking for you." And she's in the indictment too. That's against the law. You can't, because you're for election fraud, and you took the what is that thing called?
Chip.
No, not the chip. The thing you put in the computer, the little, like the clip. What is it called? I forgot what it's called. But he accused her of doing that, and then she and her daughter have been threatened because they both were working at the polling stations, and they said, "See, they're passing it around." They weren't passing anything around. They just made it up. That's why Giuliani got indicted. That's why they got Trump. But everything they got on Trump came out of his mouth. Nobody made it up and said, "Oh, I think he said this. Did you hear what he said? Oh, I think he wrote this down." They got him on tape. You did it. You on videotape. You on audio tape. Shoot, you're better than Memorex. You did it to yourself.
One of my guys, Vista Light, 1972, said, "I heard the dean of Chapman College in Orange County is caught up in this Trump thing as well." I don't know anybody heard anything about that?
Say it again.
One of the guys in the chat room, Vista Light, 1972, says he heard that the dean of Chapman College in Orange County is caught up in this Trump situation. Take a look for that.
I don't know yet. I'll look it up.
Take a look right
Chapman
there.
College, Orange County. That's in California. Right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
He's calling. What is he calling for?
Huh?
What is he calling for?
He said he's caught up in this Trump thing. He didn't say what the dean.
Oh, he's caught up in there. Oh, that's a possibility. Because people forget that when you're doing this stuff and you're putting it on digitally and electronically through the internet and through the universal World Wide Web, that doesn't go anywhere. That stays there.
But I'm gonna say this: they are so serious about it, y'all. On voting day at the poll, I saw such peculiar, coordinated behaviors. Okay, you know how we used to gather people, make sure they got to the voting place and everything, or made sure people got to, we get there before it closed and all this stuff. Make sure everybody's informed. I can say this: it looked like the opposite of when we were trying to get people to vote, to make sure they got in there and voted, to make sure they didn't get in there confused. I hope I don't get in trouble and whatnot, and they know where, what they're doing. And, even like even which way to go to inside. I'm sure they had like a text thread, email thread, probably a calling tree too. It was so peculiar. So I can see how they got caught up with Trump, because the way they moved, doing crazy, like even election day. Like I said, they had some peculiar moves, but make no mistake, they were very unified. But they can't. People been talking about that. Go ahead.
What I was talking about, Bernadette, was called a flash drive, when Giuliani and Trump accused the mother and daughter of passing around the flash drive. The thing is, the basic right of American citizens is a right to one man, one vote, one woman, one vote. And because they've screwed so much of this up, the moment you remove money out of politics, the moment you remove money out of campaigning, the money is removed, and you say, hey, get rid of these gerrymandered districts, and people just get to vote, and that's it. A lot of this will go away, but it's not going to happen. Too many billionaires, too much money, too much power at stake. People aren't going to do it.
Well,
they're just going to go. They're going to go 110% in for. We know we're going to do what we got to do to win.
When you allow corporations to have same power and influence as people, I think that's when things got really messed up, man. They passed a law back in the early mid-2000s that gave corporations the same voting power as people.
And, that was the Supreme Court. Yeah, when the Supreme Court says corporations are people, and that's crazy.
And money is speech. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
How the hell is money speech? Okay, so because I ain't got no money, I'm a deaf mute. That don't make no sense. But
because no one wants to read the Bill of Rights in the Constitution, which allows every American citizen, if you are a registered American citizen, you have a right to vote. I don't know, when they started, you have to have a special law so we can get black people to the polls because they won't let them be in the polls in the South. That's insane. Federal law says we got a right to vote. You don't need a special law, a special privilege. When you do all of that, then all of this stuff starts mounting. When you get the lobbyists in all, whether it be state elections, whether it be federal elections, whether it be local elections, those are where the problems begin, because it comes down to money. When you remove the money from electioneering, when you move the money out of politics, and you get people to stand on issues, discuss situations, again, we're living at a time where climate change is furious around us, and we're all acting like it doesn't exist. It's just nutty.
We're here in L.A. on a hurricane watch in August. We in L.A. getting hurricane notification in August.
I heard Vegas too, right? Vegas.
All that.
Yeah, it's a Cat 5 y'all are supposed to get. Okay. Category 5. That's insane.
Somebody is ignoring the signs. If people, I ain't never in my life, all the years on God's green earth, have I ever heard of barely, it don't even rain in August, not long, have a hurricane.
Mm.
Don't rain in August. It don't rain past June in most cases. Okay, but all of a sudden we got a hurricane coming to California of all places.
Hillary.
Okay, Hillary, yeah, Hurricane Hillary coming to Los Angeles, California. Got folks nervous and hell, buying up all kind of stuff, and it's supposed to hit tomorrow or Monday. Last time we
You're
had,
supposed to get a Sunday night starting into Monday. And what's so dangerous about hurricanes, especially on the West Coast like that,
uh,
you have those not the floods. It's called where
where the fires were,
the what's that again?
where the fires were.
Well, not the fires, but when the ground gets soaked and then all the land goes down. What do you call it?
Landslides.
Landslides. Yeah, because the amount of water that's dropped, the land can't absorb as fast, and then you get the high winds. And the thing is, you're going to go from a Cat 5 to maybe a tropical storm. That's huge out there because it just doesn't happen. You can't absorb the water. We're getting tornadoes in New York, in Brooklyn. We had a tornado a week and a half ago, before the anniversary of hip hop. We had a tornado, and you can hear it. It shakes the house like, whoa, what the hell is that?
Wow.
It's just
crazy.
it's like.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Bernadette.
Oh yeah, the fires themselves. I found out they create their own weather too. They create their own weather where the
Who
ground
does?
the ground may be soaking wet and everything, but within that fire, that weather can create to dry out the land and the trees where they might have been wet, but they'll burn like they've been have not been hydrated and everything, and that's a fact I learned about the Hawaiian fires. It creates its own weather within the fire,
Right.
and so it gets.
But that's what happened also in
That's
Canada.
gonna be crazy.
That's right now, where we still have like the largest fires going on in Canada. And I just heard this thing what Bernadette was saying, where the fire soaks up all the water and moisture out of the ground, and it creates.
Right.
I just don't remember what they call it from the meteorologists, where they can't even drop the water on it because the fire actually takes it and whooshes it to another area
There
like
you go.
in seconds with the air and the winds and stuff like that. So it's like Alonzo said, you got a hurricane, a Category 5 hurricane, and they're talking about it here in the Caribbean and on the East Coast and down south, that we're gonna have a hell of a fire season because you destroyed the ecosystem where the water in Miami through the Gulf of Mexico is at 89 and 90 degrees, which is like unheard of.
Yep.
Well, usually by,
Just unheard of.
usually by now we be in fire season.
Yeah.
We
And
we
what
fight.
happened with the buildings in the place in Hawaii was because of some places that were abandoned. Those abandoned places had a lot of overgrowth, and that overgrowth allows the fires to get closer to buildings than it normally would if it was the natural, uh, you know, natural building away from the wild. But when you have, I know, and even heaven forbid, Jackson, Mississippi has a lot of places that has overgrown, you know, growth, and that's a danger too. So that's something.
But you gotta remember, what
Yeah.
when we as human beings go in and destroy the natural barriers of the weather and the marshlands, and you start wiping all that stuff out, when you go to Brazil and you knock down the Amazon rainforest, what do you think Mother Nature's gonna do? In Florida, they wipe out the Everglades, and then you want to try to trap all the crocodiles from running around in the street. You don't push them out of where they live. You know, you destroy the natural ecosystem, whether it be the marshlands, whether it be the natural shelf around, like I said, the shelf around parts of Florida are dead, and if that dies, it's going to be hell down there. They think they got floods now. They're predicting that Miami's going to be underwater within the next 5, maybe now it was 5 to 10 years. They're talking about 2 to 3 years because the hurricane's going to keep coming. There's nothing to block the water. Just like in New Orleans. New Orleans is below sea level. And when Katrina and all that stuff hit, you keep wiping out the natural barriers, and you're not letting the area grow back to protect it from these storms and the wind and the rain. Hey, it's only a matter of time.
Do we have any hip hop news? Y'all depressing the shit out of me right now.
Okay.
Oh, hip hop news?
Y'all depressing the shit out of me.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Y'all ain't got any good. Y'all ain't got any good news. Anything good happening in the world around this joint?
Kiki and the guy Darius is broken up.
Oh, give a fuck about them.
But he got a new movie. He got
Fuck
a new movie with Usher.
I don't give a shit about none of
Wait,
that.
there's more.
All right, what you got?
She got that movie. I'm saying that she has that movie
With
and
Usher?
I think she got a movie with Usher. I don't know.
Oh shit! Sounds like
Crazy. It's crazy.
Goddamn trailer.
See?
Trailer action.
These publicity stunts out there that people are trying is crazy.
Okay.
Okay, since you want good news, Mr. Granzo, what do you think about the writer's strike and Screen Actors Guild strike? And do you think that that's going to somehow get solved within the next month or two?
Man, I thought it was over. Somebody told me it was over at one time. I thought it was done. I then realized it wasn't done.
Nowhere near done.
Well,
Nowhere near done. But I'm just asking you, what are your thoughts?
I think that the movie studios got so much damn money, they can starve out anybody. They don't give a shit. They got archives. Everybody's archives have been bought. Everybody's got stuff in the can. They're making people are going to still going to use these streaming services. Advertisers still going to advertise while you stand in line and going around in circles protesting. We got billions. We've been stealing from y'all so long. We gonna finance your demise. We're gonna finance your demise because as you stand out, and I understand what they're fighting for. I get it. When you see royalty checks that you get from streaming, it is fucking ridiculous. I got BMI checks the other day, man. Couple BMI checks, damn near dwarf a whole month of anything else, and it's not nowhere near the amount of plays. If I had a million plays on BMI, I could move. Okay, but you can't do shit on Spotify, none of these other channels. You can't do nothing. You can barely buy a pack of cigarettes, if anything. So,
well, I think what they did is they destroyed the structure because everyone once they got online with it, and I'm gonna blame Napster for the first person that actually stole content, played it, and didn't decide to play the artists, the producers, and everyone else. They actually destroyed the structure. And then now we're dealing with all the backlash of what Napster did at that time. So now they modified the system. So they still say, like you said, we got enough stuff. We don't need y'all. We'll just keep releasing this other shit that we got in the can. We don't care.
Right. I mean, one of my favorite shows was the Showtime about the Lakers. It started playing. It's back on. So I ain't feeling it. I miss my boy Bill Maher. He ain't on Fridays like I used to like watching him. But basically.
Oh, you mean the Lakers series is on HBO Max?
Yeah. I mean, Max Max bought HBO? Are they merged or what?
No. Discover bought merged with Time Warner, which owned HBO and Max. So because it was too confusing with HBO and calling it, I forgot what they called
HBO Max?
Their streaming network. Yeah, then they called it Max because it was easier, marketing, easier to market Max than HBO like that. So that's how that whole thing went about. And the guys that did Discover, they put those two things together, and the rest became history.
All right. So meanwhile, you got corporations like Disney, you got Warner Brothers, you got all these big streaming channel networks who have hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're still getting money. They're still getting money from the streams. They still get money from the advertisers. They're still getting all that money, and the writers are saying, "I understand If I was
And the actors saying they're not getting the right portions.
right, it's not fair. Why do you get more money than me and I do all the goddamn work? You get.
Do you know what's funny?
What?
Lonzo, let me hit you with this because you're old enough to catch this one. I was watching on Paramount Plus the Andy Griffith Show, and I was going through the series and how many episodes they did for a year. They did almost like 36 to 40 episodes for a year. And they got the residuals back for that. When you go to a streaming network and do a series, you get 8 episodes, 10 tops, 8. So you just cut the writers' money and the actors' money to like a third of anything. They get the initial check to do the performance, but when it gets to be rerun, or remember when you're on streaming, you can click it anytime you want.
Right.
They don't get anything for that.
They get no money, no money for the replay.
Look, I don't get any money for when they replay on Paramount Plus. Your own TV Raps. I just get the money that I get because I do the theme music.
Okay.
I get my royalty statement from that and my publishing money from that. Anytime anybody clicks that or plays any part of that theme, it's like it's just insane. Because Ed and I we don't get money whether you go on a streaming network and click on, or you're on YouTube and you watch your own TV Raps. We don't get any money for that.
That particular model, that was the business model of the 50s and 60s, early 70s, with shows like Getting Us Island. They got paid for being on the show, and when it went into reruns, that's pretty much, all right, fuck you. So that's pretty much.
And I forgot what year they flipped that and said, no, we're not taking it. I think that was one of the last years they had the big union strike, which President Ronald Reagan was president of the union at the time, that they fought to get money for. Right. Because only certain shows got paid for reruns. Like I Love Lucy with Desi Arnaz was one of the first shows to get residuals for reruns.
Right.
And the Honeymooners.
They own their shit though.
They own their shit.
They owned a bunch of shit. Desi Lou had
he had a major studio.
I remember going to the Universal Studios. I saw their offices on the lot of Universal Studios. So they was major players in the game. So they was able to cut better deals. Ricky Ricardo was a bad boy. I
always say Desi Arnaz is one of my Hollywood heroes. The shit he did. Desi Arnaz actually greenlit Star Trek. And then forced them to put a multicolored cast in the TV show. Gene Roddenberry wanted to do that anyway. But it was Desi Arnaz that did that. The amount of shows he did that were mega hits, out of control. He was a fiend. And he was the first one to introduce the 4-camera system on television. Because when they shot it in LA and they went to broadcast back to New York, it would be all hazy and the sound would be bad. When he upgraded it using the technology and used the 4-camera system, when it broadcast, it was like digital media of its day. And then everybody followed him.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he was the first. He was that guy. Wow. And remember when that series came out, the biggest fear they had is that Desi was brown and Lucy was white. And they said, he's Cuban, so he's not really brown, he's Cuban.
Right. They still,
it was a roll in the dice.
Beds, though, damn it.
What?
They still slept in separate beds.
Yeah, but little Ricky came from somewhere.
That motherfucker kept over there. Yes, he said.
Little Ricky came from somewhere.
They wouldn't show her pregnant, I don't think. They showed her.
They did.
Yeah, they did. She was the first.
Okay, that's
on TV.
She was the first one that had to be.
And that was a big fight. That was a big fight because when she got pregnant, it was off season, and when they went back to work, she was pregnant. So they would shoot her only from the chest up, and then they were like, nah, because then they incorporated it into the script, and they were scared because they thought, the Klan was going to come and burn down parts of Hollywood.
The Klan in Hollywood.
They were look.
What was the
there's
first
a series
TV
on
show? Hold on.
Amazon Plus called Desi Lou, I mean, Desi and Lucy.
Yeah, I saw that.
You gotta watch it. It's a really good show.
What was the first black TV show? Oh, the Julia
You said the first
black TV show.
sitcom?
Yeah, was it Julia?
No.
Amos
The
and
actual
Andy?
first what?
Was it Amos and Andy or some shit like that?
Amos and Andy. But remember when Amos and Andy was on the radio, was it two white guys, I believe it was? And then when they put it on television, they had to make it two black guys. But the first original black TV star was Rochester from the Jack Benny show.
Right. Who was the first?
Who
black,
was
who was the first?
Rochester was huge.
What was the first black TV show? Amos and Andy.
Amos and Andy, yes.
Okay. You asking who Amos and Andy was? Mr. Like 1972. Amos and Andy was a comedy duo. Like they were like Jack Benny and Jackie Gleason and Ralph Norton.
They were like Abbott and Costello.
Yeah, they was always talking shit back and forth.
Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah,
they came from the radio.
Right, they came from that vaudeville radio era.
Right,
and they brought them to television.
But they was in that day they were funny as all get out.
But they was just stepping betchy. I mean, I was a baby when this shit was on TV. I was a baby. Okay,
hey, Dre, is that part of the Yo MTV Reps, Ed and Dr. Dre's legacy?
What? Amos and Andy?
Hey, Birdie, which one would be Amos? Which one would be Andy? Let's go.
You know, I couldn't tell you.
One of y'all gonna
my
be
favorite.
Amos.
If you want to go way back, my favorite show was Our Gang Comedies and the Little Rascals, because I definitely like Stymie in them. Stymie and the Gang was it for me.
Yes, that was the shit. They had more good times with bullshit tools. I mean, they ain't had a wrench, ain't had a hammer nowhere. They just make us some shit. They have a full blown stage. They have a little theater in the back room, in the backyard. They build cars. Little Rascals was the mother boy. And,
Little Rascals was when Stymie made ham and eggs talk to Weezer in the Gang, he said, "Give me some of them ham and eggs. I'm gonna put it in the pan. Turn that pan up. Let's get that. Now move it around. Move it around. Now flip that over. Now put that on your plate and eat it." He said, "Stymie, I can't hear ham and eggs talk." He said, "These ham and eggs are talking about stomach right now."
Got it.
Stymie
Ham
was
and eggs talk. I like it.
and he had ham and eggs talk to you.
I remember they had one that was funny. Oh boy, it says, "Eat your artichokes." I'm not eating an artichoke. He may have choked Artie, but he won't choke me.
Yeah, he's not gonna choke Stymie. He may choke Artie, but because Stymie took the artichoke and he said, "Here, take this," and he started peeling it down. And he was looking at it like, "Where is it? There's nothing here." And he threw it out the window.
Artichoke.
Oh, those were funny to
I
me.
like that.
Yeah, Diane Carroll.
I didn't like when Bill Cosby bought it to take it off the air. I said, "No, bro, you can't do that with the Little Rascals and Our Gang Comedies." That was funny. Buckwheat and Farina. Buckwheat was funny.
Buckwheat was funny.
Buckwheat was, he and Weezer were funny. I don't care what you say.
Weezer was the dog, wasn't it?
No, Weezer was the white kid that hung out with Buckwheat. It was like they were like three generations of them.
Right.
There was it was Stymie and Alfalfa, Spanky and Alfalfa,
Right.
Stymie, Weezer, like that whole crew. And Farina was Stymie's cousin.
Right.
It was Buckwheat, Farina, Stymie, and it was a girl, but I can never find that girl's name. It was a
Darla?
female. Who?
A black girl or a white girl?
Yeah, there was a black girl. Darla was
I think I
Alfalfa's
found her.
girlfriend. But she was only in a few. She was in a few of them. But Farina, Buckwheat, and Stymie.
Farina was a girl, wasn't she?
No, Farina was a dude. Remember, they all had their hair braided, and they had the what do you call it, tied into their hair.
Wait. I remember it was a trivia question. And I could have swore Farina was a girl. Everybody thought
I'm looking it up.
Farina was one of the oldest. He was older than Buckwheat and Stymie. Now we know Stymie acted all the way up until he died.
Right.
He was with Scatman Crothers and crew. He was with that crew.
Right.
If you really pay attention, Stymie's in a lot of movies. Yeah, I mean, he didn't star in the whole movie, but he's in movies and TV shows. He was in Sanford and Son. He was on with Chico and the Man. Scatman Crothers was with Chico and the Man. Scatman Crothers was in a lot of shows and movies.
All right, time to go.
Can't find that name.
Man,
Okay.
come on, Granzo, we gotta go.
Say goodbye, Bernice.
Can we stay a little longer?
Bye,
Say
baby.
Bye, baby. All right, folks, you got Lonzo.
All right.
And Dr. Dre.
I gotta say two quick things there, Granzo. I like to say R.I.P. to my man Fred Meeks, who I grew up with. His younger brother, he just passed away. Love you and the family. Big shout out to my man Frank from Music Mind. Oh God, I can't think of Frank's last name right now. Frank Pompey and Music Mind with Greg Royal and Clarence Josie. He just passed away. Big shout, big love to the families out there. And big shout out to my Uncle David who passed away. Love you, Uncle Dave, always. Always been, he stepped up when my father passed away and always been a great inspiration, great advice, great mentor to me in my life. And big shout out to one of my best friends whose mother passed away a few weeks ago, Dolores. Yeah, a lot of folks passed away around me in the last few weeks. So I'm so happy to hear when Granzo said he just had a new grandbaby, number 6. Congratulations.
All right, folks, this is Lonzo, the Godfather of West Coast Hip Hop and the president of the Compton Entertainment Chamber of Commerce. Until next Friday, y'all. Legendary Connects are out. Peace.